2024 is really starting off hot with upcoming winter storms on the way, and I've got the latest on both of them. The first one bringing that snow chance to parts of the mid-Atlantic as well as the Northeast. That is system number one. And then system number two is going to bring a multi-hazard threat with winds, snow, and even southern severe. In this video, I'll detail both of them from the snowfall sides, where we could pick up very heavy accumulations in the Northeast and the plains, and then severe weather as well on the southern end. If you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button. Alright, welcome into the video. Let's get right on over to system number one with the Euro model, get into that overview. First of all, as we make our way into our early Thursday morning, we will have seen this little Gulf system. This will bring a quick half an inch to an inch of rain riding right along the Gulf Coast there. Just some rainfall out of that system, and maybe some snowfall in the very northern tip, but no accumulations of snow out of that. We've got more snow back off towards the Mountain West, and that's what's going to make system number one by the time we make our way into our Friday morning. So this is January 5th in the early morning. Some snowfall over parts of southeast Colorado, southwestern Kansas getting in on some snow as well as the panhandle of Oklahoma. Rain in parts of Texas, Oklahoma. Could we see some thunderstorms? Yes. The snow side briefly dissipates until we get a new little piece of low pressure to carry this. We'll see some showers and storms into parts of the Carolinas, Georgia, whereas we'll see flakes flying here over parts of eastern Indiana, northern Kentucky, as well as parts of Appalachia. We really see this turn into a snow event, though, as that low tracks offshore, somewhere in the mid-Atlantic, probably off the North Carolina or Virginia coastline, bringing snowfall along the northern end into parts of Ohio, West Virginia, Washington, D.C. region as well, on up into Philadelphia. All these areas could be getting in on some snowfall. Man, that sleet line is going to be really close to you there in New York City. Could you break the big snow drought that we've got there? Certainly could, but it's going to be a very close call. Places like Boston, though, having a better chance of seeing some snowfall out of this system. But if you're into parts of central Maine and northward, it looks like the system might actually track a little too far south for you to get accumulation. Alright, now let's take a look here at what we've got going on in parts of the Ohio Valley Mid-Atlantic out of the system. Again, into our Saturday morning, that's when we're going to see this pick on up some snowfall into parts of higher terrain there in Appalachia. Also some ice mixing in. That could cause some concerns, as we'll also have some sleet and some light snowfall into parts of Indianapolis, parts of western Ohio as well. Look at how this system really begins to pick up as we make our way through the rest of our Saturday. Into the, say, the midday time frame of Saturday, we've got warm air pushing in from the south. That really helps to, strengthen that sleet line here. Pockets only into parts of the western state of Virginia, as well as southern Ohio, northern Kentucky, getting in on some snowfall. But where it's snowing, it does look like it'll be breaking out pretty heavily. Eastern Ohio, could Cleveland get grazed by this? Yes. We've got Pittsburgh looking to get some pretty heavy snow. Northern Virginia into the Washington, D.C. region, kind of on the edge of some snow and some sleet. And then moving the picture on up to the north and east here, parts of northern New Jersey, southern New York. This is going to be right around, again, New York City. Could it be raining on Long Island initially and then turn over to snow? Yes. It is going to be very close call in any minimal shifts with any models here, and this is just one model. Any shifts are going to really change the snow impacts for parts of especially New York City. It looks like parts of Connecticut, Rhode Island, all these areas getting in on some pretty heavy snow. Even the Boston area, it's going to be close, but it looks like you'll get a pretty good snow out of this as of now. Again, things can change, with also some snowfall breaking out over parts of Vermont, New Hampshire, but again, notice how it kind of misses most of Maine, except for some very light accumulation there. So let's take a look at snowfall totals into different parts of this system. First of all, entering on out there out of the Rockies and into parts of the western plains, the high plains to be specific, western Kansas, the panhandle of Oklahoma, 1 to 3 inches of snowfall can be expected there. Notice the snow tapers off, just some flurries moving through parts of Missouri, and then the snowfall kind of picks back up in the Ohio Valley side of things, briefly touching on Indiana and Ohio. Your snow totals, maybe 1 to 3 inches there as well. Some spots in northeastern Ohio, maybe picking up closer to 3 to 5 inches of some snow. And then as we shift the picture on over to the northeastern U.S., this is where the snowfalls totals are going to be the heaviest. Remember, we're blending models here, so I definitely can tell you that these are going to be a little bit more tame in the way of numbers. Into parts of Appalachia, we'll have some heavy snow, but especially in this area I'm circling here, this is where we have at least still the opportunity to maybe get foot-plus totals if the system sets up correctly. But parts of eastern PA, Maryland, on up in northern New Jersey, southern New York, and then on over into parts of Massachusetts, this looks like the bullseye zone for a solid stripe of 6 to 10 inches of snowfall, and again some locally higher amounts embedded along that. And then those purple colors continue on up into southern New Hampshire as well as the far southern shores of Maine, but notice northern Maine not really getting much out of this. Right in the Boston area, though, could be a very close call. On Worcester, all these areas, you can get 8 to 10 inches of snow, and again wouldn't rule out getting a foot plus if this sets up correctly, but we might not get much snow in some of these areas depending on the track of the storm. It's just looking a little bit more likely with averages that you will. And then in terms of your ice accumulation or your accretion, so we could see a quick glaze to even a quarter of an inch of ice in some spots here, especially in the parts of western Virginia, maybe Roanoke, and even into the southwest zones of that area. Would definitely be watching for some ice there, so keep that in mind with that part of the system. And then with your rain and storms aspect of this, we will have some showers and storms as we go Saturday morning here. Maybe some heavier rainfall, especially pushing through parts of the panhandle of Florida. Could we see some marginally severe weather graze along the Gulf Coast and into the Florida panhandle out of this? Certainly could out of this system. I'll show you the one that looks to bring a higher severe threat in just a minute. But look at how this kind of turns into a little bit more of a line with some cells along it as we head towards Saturday. Now this is in the morning, so this is a little bit of a less favorable environment for supercells and thunderstorms in the morning time frame. Looks like very limited instability. This is going to be a weaker trough, so probably not going to go past a marginal or slight severe risk out of this, but we could see at least a slight flooding risk, especially over parts of South Georgia, the low country of South Carolina, the outer banks of North Carolina, picking up 1 to 3 inches of rainfall. Some of those red areas indicating where maybe up to 3 to 4 inches would be possible, but also back on over there, parts of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, some heavier totals as well as the system really transpires. Florida picking up on a solid inch plus of rain in many communities as well. Orlando maybe a half an inch to an inch as it looks right now. Now your overview of this second system that's going to set up. Let's head a little bit further into the future. Some snowfall moving up here over parts of the Dakotas, Minnesota. Snowfall as well into parts of New Mexico and West Texas, but the main story really being the chance for severe weather to erupt into the late day time frame Monday afternoon. This is January 8th in the Arklatex region. We could have discrete supercells moving through here, especially with the Euro model scenario. You notice those little yellows and oranges in pockets breaking out there. That's where those heavier showers and storms develop. Also into the Florida Panhandle. And then as we head late Monday and into our Tuesday morning, we just see rain all over the southeast as this low really tightens on up. This is going to be a rapidly strengthening low pressure system. Could this undergo bombogenesis, which is that rapid strengthening? Certainly could. But look at this, the snowfall looking a little bit less impressive here over parts of the Midwest, the North Central, as well as into parts of the Great Lakes region. Some sleet, some snow mixing in parts of Wisconsin and Michigan, while severe weather and that risk continues in parts of Georgia, the Carolinas, and Florida into our Tuesday late day. But look at this. I mean, this is Tuesday in the late afternoon. This is pretty much a rain system over this area. So we'll have to see if we can see snow break on out. And if so, it looks like maybe we'll see a brief pocket of some moisture to support some very heavy but brief snowfall. Brief being the very key word there on the back end of the system. Parts of eastern Michigan, western Ohio, as well as Kentucky, maybe seeing that wrap around, and then it kind of fades in Appalachia. And then we just see that northwest flow develop behind the system with no snowfall necessarily associated with it. I don't want to talk about exact snowfall totals because there's a lot of different opinions in the models with this system, and there's definitely not much agreement at all. What there is agreement on is that we're going to have a warm front lifting northward likely sometime Monday, late day into our Tuesday over parts of the Ohio Valley. This will also include parts of the Carolinas with that warm air lifting northward. Strong southerly winds out ahead of this cold front that's going to develop on the tail end. Yeah, you kind of get the gist and where this is going, right? Warm air moving up ahead of a cold front. This is the ingredients that we need for a strong thunderstorms. And look at how those could erupt here over parts of Georgia, South Carolina, especially with the GFS model. Now we're looking at the GFS. It also shows some more promising snowfall event over parts of Missouri, Chicago, Illinois, on into southern Michigan, Kalamazoo, getting in on some heavier snowfall. So we'll have to see kind of which model we go with, but it's definitely, this is why I'm telling you, and I'm not showing you exact snow totals because there is such a wide variety of models to look at, and none of them are in very good consensus right now on snow out of this system. But again, that severe weather threat is actually worth talking about, and this is the Storm Prediction Center as of this Tuesday, so it's January 2nd. There's already an outlook for Monday, January 8th, including the Gulf Coast states, parts of southeast Texas, the Houston area, through New Orleans, on over into the western panhandle of Florida. Notice this first system, and that's the one I just drew. It's a very flattened out trough. Doesn't look very impressive. Some stronger winds, yes. But look at this trough that digs down with this system number 2. Positively tilted like this initially, but once this trough becomes more vertical, that's when we begin to see the threat for a damaging wind and tornado, probably an all-hazard severe weather event. The yellows break out on this map, even some of those tan colors as this moves on off towards the east. I would really be monitoring this vertical and now, neutrally to even negatively tilted trough, which is a negative sign, that's for sure, for parts of the Gulf Coast and the southeast. Again, this is very preliminary, but I do want to show you my severe risk product with my low to medium end threat threat. I'm doing this as if this is a Storm Prediction Center outlook. So this would be a marginal in green, slight risk in yellow. I would have a slight risk here over parts of the Arklatex as well as southern Mississippi and Alabama. Into our Tuesday, January 9th, I would have that slight risk continuing into parts of South Georgia, parts of the Panhandle, as well as on down into Orlando and Tampa, Florida, and then into parts of South Carolina and North Carolina as well, continuing with that, that low to medium in threat. But also parts of the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic wouldn't rule out severe weather right now. But as the system looks right now, the highest risk for damaging tornadoes and an all-hazard nighttime threat would be here into the Arklatex, and then maybe that damaging wind potential increasing as this heads east, with maybe some spin-up tornadoes possible still into the Carolinas. So very early to be making any calls here. I'm just giving you a very preliminary look at what this system might end up doing. We might not see this system being nearly as strong as it looks right now. Everything I talk about in all my videos is not to be trusted, with your life. But anyway, this first system that we get, again, this is the first winter storm circling now, giving you wind gusts. Some gusts along the east coast, 30 to 50 miles per hour, maybe a little higher on Long Island. But overall, that one looks more tame than the second system. Model blend, so this is a blend of all the models here. 30 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts engulfing the entire eastern half of the United States as we make our way Tuesday. Okay, this looks like a pretty strong system. And then look at how those reds and yellows pop up into the northeast. Long Island could see 60 plus mile per hour wind gusts. Cape Cod, you're included in that. But again, that's if this pans out the way it looks right now. Very quick summary is that the first winter storm will bring Appalachian ice, some northeast snow, but there will also be heavy rain that will be hitting the southeast at the same time. Looks like some heavier totals when we move through parts of PA. Be very near New York City, be very near Boston, but there could be some sleet that interferes. And then tracking longer range system that could bring potentially dangerous snow, rain, wind, severe weather, all that. But again, I don't want to get into snow totals with the range of models we have. Don't really want to talk too much about severe weather, but I gave you that overall look. If you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. And that's all for this video. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll be providing more updates as we get closer.